The Amadidious is the reason why men will stop acting like dogs and women will stop acting like meat. The Amadidious is also known as the awakening. Thunderstorms, wind, and rain depicts the emotional state of affairs that has constantly engulfed the lives of hundreds of millions of men and women. This information that you are about to hear is guaranteed to change the social dynamics of personal relationships between men and women forever. You are about to hear secrets that had previously been hidden, but now here are being revealed and told. This is a wake-up call to men and women in general, as it awakens their minds to a higher level of consciousness while removing eons of years of socially induced negativity and ignorance between the sexes. This information is an eye-opener, and never again will the sexes be unevenly balanced. No matter whom you think you are, this concerns you. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, short or tall, fat or thin. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, red, green, tan, or brown. If you have ever had a relationship or are thinking of having a relationship, this is about and for you. A male's natural instinct is one of dominance. This is very factually evident in the dominant positions of all male mammals, in the position of intercourse, which is basically male on top to achieve procreation. Due to man's ability to reason, this physical positioning eventually produced a psychological state of mental superiority, which man has come to express in all aspects of his existence. First of all, we're going to establish the fact that most men are stupid. Ignorant is probably a more polite term, but the word stupid better expresses the level of debauchery that man has allowed himself to wallow in mentally and physically in his relations with women. Men are stupid, and this is one fact that all women are aware of, whether they want to admit to it or not. Men mistakenly think that it's all about them as to the reasons why a woman ends up in their bed. What the idiots are too egotistical to see is that the woman is exactly where she intended on being. In other words, the determining factor for a woman ending up in a man's bed isn't the man's looks, or his car, or his fancy clothes, or his house, or his overall wealth. The determining factor, and the only determining factor, is the woman's choice. Very few men are aware of this, and women have been keeping this fact secret for ages. Men's egos would be crushed if they knew that it wasn't really their charm or their mat that overwhelmed the lady of their intent and swept her off her feet. If men knew the real truth, their masculinity would be reduced to shriveling little piles of doggy poop. They would end up huddled in a corner or underneath the covers of their bed, sucking on their thumbs or hugging their security blanket as they cried for their mummy, because the real truth takes apart the myth and the illusions behind their manhood and totally destroys it. Man's temple of his manhood is so shabby anyway that it needs to be taken apart and rebuilt. So that's what's about to happen. In order to rebuild, we must first destroy. The real truth that all women and very few men know is that the last choice in the beginning of a relationship belongs to the woman. As far as women are concerned, men think that they're the hunters, but they're not. They're the hunted. A woman has her mind made up long before she's even approached as to whether or not she will even consider hearing what the approaching man has to say. It is at that point after opening comments are made, that the man will find a woman listening intently to what else he has to say. It is then that the ball is considered completely in the man's court, and everything that the man hopes for and desires is won or lost at that time. Does this mean that what has been previously discussed has just been contradicted, and that the man's rap or conversation will overwhelm and overpower the object of his attention? Not at all. All that is happening is that he is one of the ones that the female has found interesting enough to be considered as a choice. The fact that she has allowed him to continue talking past the initial introduction is proof of that. As the man talks and makes conversation, he unknowingly is being evaluated by the female. Even though he has been considered as a choice, chances are he won't make the cut into the second round, because more men have talked themselves out of a woman's bed than have talked themselves into one. So what have we discussed so far? We've discussed that as far as the power in a relationship goes, that initially it belongs to the woman. She controls what she will or will not do. And with that fact established, the truth is also established that most men are stupid. We've discussed that most men are stupid because they have been taught for eons that they are dominant and are the seducers in relationships as far as women are concerned, and that with good looks, charm, money, and a smooth conversation, that women will fall all over themselves to stand in line for their attention. This reasoning, we have come to understand, is a fallacy in logic for men, and factually established the fact that most men are stupid. Because women know that unless a woman is being forced and has a gun up against her head or a knife across her throat, she controls her choices, not a man. It doesn't matter to a woman what a man has or doesn't have. If she wants him, she wants him. If she doesn't, she doesn't. The last choice, the final decision, is her choice to make. The astounding summation to this information is that with all this power and knowledge that women have over men, men are still considered so unrestrained in their social behavior that they are commonly referred to as dogs. This is partly because men carry the mistaken notion, due to their egos that we've discussed before, that they are actually seducers when in fact they are not. The truth is, unless the woman chooses to establish a relationship with some form of permanence, a man's position with her is no more or less than that of a tool, a living, breathing, fleshly tool. Even if the man is married or is already in some form of a relationship, his being induced into going to bed with another woman is not a conquest as most men would think. As previously stated, the final choice is always the woman's choice, so the man is the one that has unknowingly been mentally conquered and physically seduced by her. The Amadidious is available as an ebook at all major ebook retail stores. This is only a preview. It's only part. There is still much of what there is to be said.